So, we talk a lot about going green, right? About this massive global transition. But there's always this huge question just hanging there. Who pays for all of it? And we're not talking about small change here. We're talking about mobilizing trillions of dollars. Okay, so let's get into it. Let's explore the incredible financial system that's being built right now to fund a greener planet.
Okay, so before we even get to the answers, we've got to wrap our heads around just how massive this problem is. Seriously, this isn't about scrounging up a few billion here and there. What we're talking about is basically rewiring the entire global economy. And here it is, the big number, $2.4 trillion. And that's not a one-time thing. That's every single year. Just to put that in perspective, that's more than the entire economy of a country like Canada or Italy. I mean, it's just a staggering amount of money.
Right. So, how? When you're looking at a price tag that big, where does the money even come from? How do you fund something like a total planetary upgrade? It seems almost impossible, doesn't it? Well, the good news is we're not starting from zero, not at all. Over the last decade or so, a really sophisticated ecosystem of financial tools has been created just for this problem. So, yeah, let's open up the toolbox and see what's inside. And you gotta understand, this isn't about finding one magic bullet solution. It's much more like a toolkit, right? You wouldn't use a hammer to fix everything in your car. It's the same idea here. Climate finance has developed this whole specialized set of tools. We're talking over 30 different instruments, and each one is built for a very specific job. Okay, so broadly speaking, these tools fit into four main buckets. You've got your debt instruments, think loans and bonds. Then you have risk mitigation, stuff like insurance. Third is results-based finance, which is basically we pay you when you prove it works. And finally, carbon markets. That's the landscape. Let's dive into the first one. All right, let's kick things off with the biggest player in the game, the absolute backbone of this whole system, and that is bonds. So what exactly is a green bond? It's actually super simple. Think of it as a loan, but with one giant string attached. The money you raise has to go toward projects that are good for the environment. And it's not based on trust. That spending is tracked and verified. Honestly, that simplicity and transparency, that's a huge reason why they've become so successful. And believe me, this is not some tiny niche market anymore. It is the most established part of climate finance. We're talking over $500 billion in green bonds issued every year. That is a massive river of cash flowing straight into the green economy. And this is the cool part. That $500 billion, it's not just a number in a spreadsheet. It's what builds the stuff you can actually see and touch. It's the energy-efficient buildings popping up in our cities. It's the EV charging stations you see on the highway. This is how finance, this abstract concept, becomes real, physical, sustainable infrastructure. And the market keeps getting smarter. So you have sustainability bonds, which fund projects with both green and social benefits. But then there are sustainability-linked bonds, and these are really clever. With these, the actual interest rate a company pays is tied to them hitting their climate goals. If they succeed, they pay less. If they fail, they pay more. It's a powerful financial incentive to actually keep your promises. And the innovation just doesn't stop. We're seeing super specialized bonds for very specific problems. You've got transition bonds, which are designed to help those really heavy, hard-to-decarbonize industries make the switch. You've got blue bonds, which are all about protecting our oceans. And you even have green sukuk, which are structured to align with the principles of Islamic finance. It's amazing. But hey, as massive as the bond market is, it's not the whole story. Let's look at some of the other really cool tools in the kit that are designed to solve different kinds of problems. Okay, next up is something called blended finance, and this one is a real game changer. Here's how it works. You take a relatively small amount of public money from a government or a charity, and you put it into a project first. That money takes on the riskiest part of the investment. What that does is create a kind of safety net, which makes the whole project look way less risky and way more attractive to private investors. So they come flooding in with huge amounts of private cash. It's a super strategic way to use a little bit of public money to unlock a ton of private capital. Then you've got carbon markets. The whole idea here is to create a new source of income by putting a price on cutting emissions. You have compliance markets, which are government-run. Big polluters have to participate. And then you have voluntary markets, where companies choose to buy carbon credits to hit their own climate targets. Now, both of these are designed to make green projects more profitable. The big challenge, of course, is making sure that every single credit is legit and represents a real reduction in emissions.
And this whole toolkit isn't just about reducing emissions. It's also about adapting to the changes that are already happening. And for that, there's this really fascinating tool called parametric insurance. Forget about filing a claim and waiting forever after disaster. With this, the payout is automatic. It's triggered by a specific event. Say, a hurricane's wind speed hits a certain number. Boom, the money is released. Instantly. That fast cash is an absolute lifesaver for communities trying to recover.
All right, so we've looked at a bunch of individual tools. Let's pull the camera back a bit and see how they all fit together in the real world. And here's the most important thing to remember. The most successful, most impactful projects almost never rely on just one tool. It's all about strategy. It's about combining them or stacking them. So you might use a green bond to fund the main construction, bring in some blended finance to get it off the ground, and then use carbon credits to create a revenue stream for years to come. It's all about picking the right tools for the right part of the job. So let's just quickly recap those big numbers. The need? A whopping $2.4 trillion a year. The response? A toolkit with over 30 different instruments. And the progress? Well, the green bond market alone is already moving over $500 billion annually. Yeah, there's still a gap to close, but the scale of the response is finally starting to match the scale of the challenge. Which brings us to, I think, the most important point of all. The financial system, the complex plumbing needed to move all this money and build a sustainable future, it isn't some fantasy we hope to build one day. It's already here. It exists right now.
So the tools are there. The financial machinery is in place. The money can be moved. The question is no longer how. The question is, what will we do? The tools exist. So what kind of future are we going to choose to build?